Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Miracle Monday. And today we are happy to invite, or not invite, announce that we're lucky enough that Phil Williams decided to come back as a guest. We're just so casual here, I sometimes wonder how people feel about being a guest here because we really don't plan anything. And I kind of had it in my mind to come up with some things to ask you, Phil, and then it was just like, no, that's not meant to be. It's just not going to happen. Everything is going to happen in the moment. Because I know for me, for one, and I'm sure that others can relate, I have been just guided more deeply into the moment and trusting and being called to trust what's unfolding in the moment. So here's Phil's bio. Raised by a Methodist minister and therefore as a Christian, I eventually led Bible studies and mission trips, though never fully experiencing the peace spoken of within the scriptures. I played college football in Florida State University, and then spent over 2.5 decades as an NFL agent, all the while raising 4 children. The oldest, who was my heart, died at 26 years old, and my world collapsed. I put all my energy into seeking truth, certain that I had been wrong in the past. I was led to A Course in Miracles 3 years later, and after less than 2 months immersed within, I experienced what the Course calls revelation. That was almost 5 years ago, and today I continue the journey back to the place where we have never left. So we welcome you, Phil. I'm going to go ahead and put us on speaker view here now. And, I invite you now, Phil, just to kind of do whatever suits you, however you feel guided in the moment. But I would maybe encourage or invite you to start at the beginning if you want to just introduce yourself and just, take it from there, whatever feels right.
Hmm. You know, I'm not generally a planner either when it comes to things like this or whatever. But and so I think I would like to just uh, maybe in a minute, just whatever questions or thoughts people want to talk about. But you know, um, the last few weeks have been interesting. When I was on here, I think I was in the middle of September, right? So October, November. Yeah, I think I was on here almost 3 months ago, and shortly after that, I went to Utah to David Hoffmeister retreat, and if people want to ask questions about it, it's fine. I'm not sure what I can answer other than to say that I was probably the most agitated person there. I shared that with you guys already, but it was interesting that about 48 hours before I left here in Costa Rica to go there, I just started getting agitated. And I just decided I was going to let that be and not try to fit in or anything like that. And I remained mainly agitated while there,
Right.
although which was just okay. I was just letting it be. Think I probably cried more while I was there than I had the previous year. But yeah, no, just this journey is just does what it does. I mean, I am. I will say this in advance because someone had kind of asked something, and quite frankly, I have known this was a thing anyway. I write things. Just things come to me, and I write them, story form, parable form, whatever form. Uh, and the I'm not writing for any. I'm just writing. I'm not writing for A Course in Miracles. I'm not writing for Christians. I'm not. I'm just writing, and I'm writing in a way that's to tell that which might be where somebody is. Somebody might get something. It could be one person that I never know, or who the heck knows. So if anyone is the slightest bit confused at certain things I say, I would say that words are words. Ramana Maharshi, I read things by him a couple of years back, still do occasionally. And he would, if you were a Christian and you came to him, he would he would speak to you where you were. He would speak to you as if he believed what he was saying.
Right.
He would talk to you from a Genesis. If you believed in the story of Genesis, he would speak to you through that story.
Right.
And so, for whatever reason, that's kind of the energy that I have. I feel like I know I'm going to be misunderstood by many, and that's okay. And not everything I say is going to be perfectly worded or whatever, And that's in our conversations, even on the beach. I mean, if I told you the conversations I just had on the beach, oh my gosh, one of them. I mean, seriously, one of them. I'm not sure if I should say this or not, but is the young man is coming out of a John Wick type thing. And if anybody knows what John Wick is, I mean,
Enlighten us a little bit.
What's that?
oh, it's speaking of the Matrix, it's Keanu Reeves' latest series. There's 3 or 4 movies out where it's insane violence, insane. Oh, I mean, just insane, you know. And the guy immediately looks into my eyes and says, "I see something," basically, and we begin this conversation. The guy's in a state of disarray and yet hungry to hear something. These are the things that are happening, and so I just ask, okay, what words for him?
Right.
And yet I can get too deep sometimes, and I'll walk away from there going, "You idiot." And then I'm like, no, it's okay. Anyway, it's just an interesting journey we're on, where we're trying to heal ourselves, and in that process, we just step here and we step there.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning not to judge, just to let it all go as soon as I possibly can.
Right.
I mean, I may see something either one of y'all says and go, "No, why did they say?" You know what I mean? And I just no, that's not my. I don't. It could be any of us. It could be any of us. It's just the mind doing what it does, and learning to release all of that. So that's all I'm going to say to start this off. I'm happy to talk about anything.
Bill, I think that what you're saying is very good. And, I think we alluded to this yesterday. You and I, 3 of us had a little chat there over the weekend. And I just want to say I can relate to what you're saying, because I do the same thing on my personal profile. Like, I don't come across as a Course in Miracle teacher, although I've been doing A Course in Miracles for, over 20 years. And I am, of course, in the thought system and dedicated to the thought system and the process of forgiveness, of A Course in Miracles. And I can talk the talk with just about anybody. But what I share on my personal profile comes, is inspired. Like, it comes into my mind, and I do feel in such the same process that you go through. And so I don't be concerned about that. I just let it flow freely and I put it out there. I believe in it. I know it's coming from pure love, and I let the chips fall where they may. So I really do understand what you speak of there. And I think it's really about just being authentic to how the Holy Spirit is expressing itself through you in the moment. It's not about getting caught up in a book or a whatever. It's about just being authentic and trusting in that. And I think that's the way the Holy Spirit uses our mind. So thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah. And you know what, Stephanie, coming out of Christianity and having seen the Bible as this end all be all, I don't know why, but when I picked up A Course in Miracles, and immediately the way I would describe it is something started vibrating inside of me. And yet I immediately knew this is the same thing. It's easy to be an idol. It's
right.
easy for this. These are words. These are words that I'm using to speak to myself, to heal myself. And in that realization is that once those words have their effect, I mean, they're just, I don't know, they're symbols, and yet it's extremely important to us that are here on this site right now, because it is a massive part of our healing experience. It is for me, and I assume it is for all those who would be here.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there comes a time, when you refrain from necessarily talking the course to, there is a shift, and all of a sudden you're in spiritual boot camp. So in other words, you're called to take the training wheels off and live the course. And I think most of us know when that juncture happens in our lives, like, and in the course itself, it's referring to the shift between stage 4 and stage 5 of the development of trust. So in other words, you've done a lot of forgiveness work, or you think you've done a lot of forgiveness work, and you have, but we don't know what the forgiveness work is for. Right. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But I could go on and on about that because it's something that I've really delved into. But yeah, we begin to really take the training wheels off and really are asked to, really, really face our demons and look at everything that's standing in the way of truth and to really be willing to trust the Holy Spirit's going to bring us through, even when the Holy Spirit doesn't seem available to us at times. Lesson 189, Fran. So
Hey, which is 189? What's
Well,
the
That's it's what this what it reminds me of that you're saying, both you and Steph, that the one where simply do this, be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is, all concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy empty hands unto your God.
Like that lesson is right beside my bed. I have it on a sheet and frame there. So I see it as I wake up in the morning.
forget the course it said?
Yeah.
The reason I asked, I'm actually a numbers person, but I don't memorize what I think that's right about where I'm at is I kind of go back through. I just do what I do, and I happen to be kind of walking back through some of the lessons, and I think I'm right at about 189. So anyway, it was interesting that would be brought up. So
yes. Now, does anybody have anything specific they'd like to ask Phil? It can be anything.
anything.
All holes barred. If you think, if we're looking for a unique perspective, Mary, go right ahead. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Stephanie. And yeah, Phil, say something so I can see you.
Blah blah blah.
There you are. Okay. Here, I'm going to put on the, okay. Yes, Stephanie, it's interesting you mentioned the stages of trust, because I am knowing that I'm in the stage of unsettling, and I have been for a while after being so long in this beautiful stage of settling down and feeling and I, as I go through this look at the course, it says that a lot of people stay there, think this is what the course is all about. And so what I'm seeing in Phil, and Phil, this is what helps me with you, is you've had a revelatory experience. You've experienced the course. You've had, done the Eastern religions, and now you're going back. You're going deep into the healing, and that's where I am. It's like now I really have to go deep into the healing. I can't stay in that place of ego comfort and satisfaction, which is very attractive. It really is. And I really wanted that to be what the course is about. Oh, I get it. Jesus is with me. And I know that he is, but he's also with me in this healing process. And it's very unsettling, because what's happening with me is everything is falling away. It's like my family, everything is falling away, and it's uncomfortable, but I'm really glad, because it's like when you go start walking with Jesus, there's no need for them anymore. Maybe that's part of the healing, is letting them all go because this former people pleaser caregiver is learning that people pleasing is violent and not helpful, and it was to get approval and to get love. And as I go deeper in love of this spirit self, this who I really am, this what represented to me in the character of Jesus, I'm really having to face demons and really having to face darkness. And so for me, the question is, after having a revelatory experience, it has to be that you're like, this is it. This is it. This is what God is. And now you're going back and doing this healing, but you're doing it from such a beautiful high level of knowing that it's and you're laughing because you just
I'll
mentioned
explain.
agitated. It's like, yeah, I'm agitated. I'm like, fuck this. This doesn't feel good. But I love that
Here we
agitation
go.
because I want to let it all up. I want to let this darkness up, the agitation, and so I just want to hear your process with all of this more because it's helping.
I would say it's discombobulated. For those who were here a few weeks ago, I explained that the unexplainable, which is just within the revelatory experience, I was given that I was experiencing, yeah, and yet that when I went back to sleep, because mine happened in the middle of the night, and that when I woke back up, that I was going to be right smack dab in the middle of hell, if you will. And I mean, in fact, the next 24 hours were some of the toughest hours of my life. And so I have over the course of these 5 years, let me fast forward to the last, since say February of this year, most of 2023. And this has a little bit to do with separation from my wife. I've been married 36 and a half years, and yet we're very, very separated. And in that, all that means is that we're not officially divorced. And in that period of time, I have done what none of us want to do. None of us want to face the incredible darkness. I mean, it's awful. I mean, it can take the person who thinks they're the strongest person on earth and reduce them to nothingness just like that, And so I've had that happen. Not that I thought I was the strongest, but so yeah, what I chose to do over the past months, and I have not done this perfectly, is be alone more than normal. And in that aloneness, whenever the fears come, it could be small, but it could also be very large, is to not run, not pick up the phone, not do any of the things I would normally do to try to find help out there somewhere, even if it's a brother or sister who understands, but to just say, okay, I'm here. And in this here-ness, I'm asking Spirit to look with me upon this thing and shine it away or do whatever. But I'm here. I'm not running. I don't know the answer, but I do know this is part of the answer, which is to not run, to feel, to embrace this, and to allow Spirit to do whatever Spirit needs to do. So that has been I remember early on, my wife told me I needed therapy. And I'm like, well, yeah, we all do. But I don't know who can therapize me with this place that I'm at, And so I have been going through therapy. I've been asking all that is to be with me, to look at all that ain't, to shine the truth upon the illusion. And so that's been my therapy. And I don't say that I'm out of it, but I do recognize the healing aspect I do realize that I can be with that which I did not know I could be with in the past because it seemed too devastating.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, you're describing exactly my process. I am in divine therapy. I am in divine, and I too, it's like, I love these people here. I'm sharing movies and The Chosen with them, and because that's the level that they can love, and it's been extremely powerful. But I don't, um uh I'm just pulling away from running to others, even mighty companions. It's if they come to me, it's given. It's like I'm waiting, letting them be brought to me rather than going and looking for it. And I also am separated from my husband of 52 years and not divorced, but we're very much separated, but also very much still joined because we still have this beautiful healing process to go through together. And he is truly my greatest trigger and my greatest love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel this resonance with you and your story that totally I relate to. And so this is very, very helpful.
Well, Mary,
Yeah.
what you did get married at 15 years old?
I was pretty young. I was
no,
20.
Say
What,
something,
Lloyd?
the revelatory experience. I had that in 2003. And I think the reason that we get it is because we know we're going to go through hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a part of us that is knows that, you know, to wake up, we're going to have to face all the demons.
Yeah.
I think
That's great. Yeah.
revelatory experience, certainly if I hadn't had it, I can honestly say I don't think I'd be sitting on this couch right now. I mean, I wouldn't have got through, you know, the stuff that I went through and still going through. It's a process and it can last for years.
Yeah.
But I know without it, in you know, my own thinking, whatever that is, I know that I probably wouldn't have made it this trip. I would have been, you know, definitely looking at another lifetime that's already happened. But it's just it's a helpful event to the mind. Is of course it gives you a complete suspension of doubt and fear.
You know what it is, Lloyd, too? It's the absolute red pill because I don't know. I hear you saying what you're saying, and I think you're pretty damn sure. And maybe you are sure. For me, I don't know where I'd be. I just know that I can't go back. I know that I can mess up a lot, but I
Yes,
can't go back. But I
exactly.
can't go back. And so yeah, I don't know. The only thing that I say I know, although I can immediately step out of that statement and mess up, but know it, is what I did experience in Revelation, which is a state of knowledge, which can be conveyed to others who can potentially hear that and believe that, you know. But it's yeah, so it's the red pill to the core, and yet, you know, Neo in the Matrix took the
Yeah.
red pill and still, you know, struggled a lot until all of a sudden it's like, oh. Anyway,
Yeah, well,
you know,
I can't
go
really
ahead.
say, you know, I can't really say that I would know that, you know, I wouldn't make it this trip, but it felt like that. Let's put it
Yeah,
that
yeah, no, I know.
you never know anything, but as the script unfolds, but I certainly felt like that many times that
Right.
if I hadn't had the help that I had, something drastic would have taken place, right?
Yeah, well, I was actually in my certain situation, specific situation, for those who may remember what I shared last time. I don't know that I would have lived another 24 hours or 12 hours or whatever. I was in a state of such intense fear, despair that it's an out of body, can't live there. You can't live there. You can't survive there.
I know what
So
you're
there's nothing good that I did to bring it on in that sense. It was dragged kicking and screaming out of my mind to a place of surrender because I couldn't do it on my own.
Well, we certainly know that, don't
Yeah.
we?
Absolutely.
We certainly know we can't do it on our own. If there's one thing I think many have learned, that we can't do it on our own.
And it's you know the realization is, you know, what the course describes as the terror that, you know, that we seem to be going through. It's just the ego feeling its annihilation. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mm.
No doubt. There was a annihilation of something.
It certainly feels like it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this world became what the hell is this? It's a nothing. It's you know.
Exactly. I had an experience coming back from Newfoundland when Stephanie and I first got together. We were in this nice hotel in Quebec somewhere, and I had the worst, I guess, call it nightmare that I've ever experienced. My whole being, and the terror was like I actually visioned. I had this vision of what we call the Grim Reaper, with a black cloak. And I was in this place where this Grim Reaper came, wrapped his cloak around me, and I swear that I was never going to see the light again. And the terror was incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
what happened was Stephanie knew I was in some kind of stress, I guess, from whatever going through, and she woke me up. And you know, I'm so thankful. But those are the kind of terrifying events that come up from the unconscious mind, right? And you can't really explain them, but I tell you, you wonder where it comes from.
You know, they're within the dream. It's the dreams within the dreams. You know, some type of reflection of something. And the only reason I piggyback on what you're saying is, you know, I actually had the craziest nightmare you can imagine last night. I was in some kind of house, and the house was full of people, at least 20, 30, I don't know how many, but somehow it wasn't a game, but it was like, okay, Phil, either you kill all of them or they kill you.
Wow.
And no, listen, and I knew some of them, and one of them I picked up by the ankles, and I was beating them against some concrete. This is how crazy my dreams can be. But I wasn't beating them hard because I didn't really want to kill them. I felt bad doing it, and finally I stopped, and I'm like, okay, kill me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to kill these people. And even though the fear says you gotta do that, fear says you gotta do that, you know. And so I said, nope, I'd rather die than kill all these people. And I woke up before I died.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. This conversation is reminding me of an experience of that David Hoffmeister had when he first started this journey. You know, he was traveling and you know, he was developing his trust, and he was at a restaurant. He was working at a restaurant, and this guy came up to him, and his voice lowered like about 3 octaves. And he looked at David, and he said, "Who do you think you are?" Like devil, you know, like David said, it really freaked him out. It was just like,
Who do you think? Yeah.
guy, right? And after that day, he went home, and Jesus told him that he was showing him a roadmap of his mind. In other words, all the unconscious guilt through, you know, through some of these experiences that we have, the dreams, just whatever we're going through. And when Pandora's box opens, you know, and all the demons start coming out, it's like we're being shown a map of our mind. We're being shown what's in our mind.
Oh Lord.
So we can give it to the Holy Spirit that we can't even access because we're in so much terror. So this is what I mean when I talk about, you know, the 5th stage of the development of trust. It's not an easy journey.
And Stephanie and I together have actually experienced, I think about 3 times now. Where the ego has actually taken over a persona, a person, and interacted with us on a very, very strange way.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And we knew at the time, we knew what was happening. And those people had no idea. Like, they didn't realize what had happened when they came out of it, kind of thing. So some strange things, happen in the dream.
Yeah, you do. And that's when we have to be strong, right? That's when we have to, like lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. It's like somewhere in our mind, we know we're okay.
And her and I have also experienced switching dimensions a couple of times, which that was quite a trip.
Yes.
And we were actually sure that we had switched dimensions.
Well, I'd like to just respond on some level to Mary, just that, I don't spend, right or wrong or good or bad or whatever terminology you want to use, I don't spend time wondering about what stage of I'm in. I just know I got to put one foot in front of the other, so to speak, and that if it seems like I took a step back, just, one thing that bothers some people about me is that many things I can do a big earthly screw up, and then I kind of go, oh, okay, that was that, versus wallowing in it or being real, and there's a time to not wallow in it. And it's this again is the kind of thing where you start using words to potentially mess some people up, and that is, I think I can't remember if we talked about this or someone else, but I felt the need, or I felt the pull to apologize to my daughter back in this year, without knowing what I had done, even, or in other words, I didn't see it as real, but I felt that some healing, some communication between us was going to be better if I could connect with her. Does that make sense a little bit? So I apologized to her without even knowing really what I had done to cause a rift, or what it was exactly. I mean, I'm a threat to do something, but anyway. So to me, that was love. It wasn't like giving life to a mirage. It was just extending love. And I know how sometimes we can get into those words, and it just seems to maybe go off the road a little bit of what we know is the true and narrow, but it can have value,
Yes.
at least that's my take. And so, I'm not, yeah. But as far as, again, Mary, it's like, this, yeah, I mean, we may find ourselves in this, I forget what the terminology you use, the course uses, that unsettling.
Unsettling.
But, yeah, that place of unsettling. I mean, in a sense, I could feel that every day, in a minute or two or whatever, but what you're saying is that, eases up really quick when you're in that smooth place, right? But the smooth place and the unsettled place, neither one is better or worse than the other. They're just what we're doing. They're just what we're doing. And so we keep reminding ourselves, like Paul says in the Bible, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Or at least that's the way we're taught it for those of us who know the Bible. But really what he was saying was, be ye transformed by the training of your mind. Be ye transformed by feeding your mind that which allows all the stuff that's not of God to go, and it's a process. And sometimes I've experienced that in the deepest, darkest moment is when the most healing came. So I try not to judge these things. You know, it's hard not to, right? It's hard not to. Woe is me.
Somebody's got their hand up.
Okay, I think Ardith, I do believe Ardith, that's you.
Well, I gather and really on the beam with what you've been saying. There's one condition though that I've discovered that has absolutely flummoxed me, and truthfully still is, because when you asked me how I was today, I said okay. It was like an automatic response, because mentally, emotionally, and all those ways, I feel I am okay, except my physical self is not healing the way I want it to, and it can be a real barrier. I haven't been sick, as I mentioned, I think before in a call, most of my life. I've had excellent health, and been able to really help others by being open to the Holy Spirit and just letting come out whatever came out on a mental, emotional, spiritual level. But physically, I never really had any problem. Now, it's a challenge. It is a big challenge. Now, I know it's all in the mind. I know it is, but and I know a lot of people will relate. When physical things happen, sometimes it just puts a barrier there that you just have to trust. Just have to trust that it'll all work out. It'll all be fine, no matter what. And just maybe, I guess that's probably what it is, so that I can realize what others are going through. Because I did in the other aspects of life, but this was one area that didn't. And it's a tough one. You know, yeah, that's all I can say. It's a tough one. It's doable. I'm sure it is, because if I didn't feel we were all loved, I wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't be able to function, frankly. But I wonder if other people probably have. I know you have stuff, and I'm sure others have too. That's an extra added element, I think, in trying to get with it, with let the Spirit take over and really live your faith, live your life open. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Ardith, basically, you just totally explained my situation.
Oh,
For like about a year, and I never had any issues whatsoever right up until my 60th birthday. And then it's like the day I turned 60, it all started to fall apart. Hear a little bit of my story. Maybe Phil, you could chime in, or anybody could chime in. But yeah, I started having like a sore throat, and my mouth was sore, and then my nose became sort of sore and dry, and then my eyes became very dry and sore, and it's just been an ongoing situation for over a year. I've got like my skin lately has been very itchy.
mhm.
It's just one thing after another over the last year. And I found it very difficult to forgive, because when it's right in your face,
Mhm.
difficult. So I've had to become I've spent a lot of time being silent, but I'm not I'm silent, but my mind is not always silent.
Mhm.
Because I'm concerned about myself, and it's just like if it's not one thing, it's something else. It's like the symptoms change and they keep morphing into something else, and then it's I'm not going to go on and on with the story, but the point is, I'm in one of the biggest forgiveness lessons of my life.
Yeah,
So I hear
I get that.
It's interesting timing, because I started to say I'm generally a healthy guy. Having said that, I have some condition that they say is pretty serious, but I don't really pay attention to it. That's something else. I don't really feel it. That being said, I had a pretty bad cold for a few days, and then in the middle of that cold, I sneezed and threw my lower back out. And anybody that has back issues knows my lower back was in incredible pain for a little bit. And so I had this combination of stuff, and then trying to sleep and blah, blah, blah. It was just somewhat nightmarish. And it can mess the mind up, and I when it's messing the mind up, or making it difficult to forgive or whatever. It's, you're just in that place in that moment. And, you can actually be hard on yourself for thinking, oh, why can't I be all cheery in my pain here or whatever, and I just don't know that that's helpful. And so my I find myself letting some things play themselves out without being trying to be hard on myself. And just, it's really, to me, it's becoming more and more a state of allowance and just realizing that's where I'm at in the moment, and just realizing that it is a moment, whether it's an hour or a day or whatever, it's that I'm gonna have an opportunity to forgive, to release, to reconnect, or when I say reconnect, not we've ever lost connection, but you understand. So I don't know. It's, to me, it's a I don't know who's familiar with Adi Ashanti, but his story is one where he feels like the most impactful thing, I'm putting words in his mouth, in his life was when he got sick, and he'd always been healthy, and he just remained in sickness, and nobody knew what it was for a while, bedridden as a young man. And it was just a necessary part of his experience / journey to awakening. And I'm really, really over summarize that in a nutshell, but that's why you hear me sniffling, because I'm still getting over this cold. But in all cases, Stephanie, and I didn't hear your name. I just saw a number down there.
Ardith. That's
Ardith.
yeah.
Ardith. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's this. I'm not saying anything you don't know. You know this. We're not saying anything we don't know. But I do have compassion, because I know how that can feel. Maybe not the specific, but yeah. I mean, so that one heart reaching out to another, as if there is another, just saying, hey, we're here and we're love, and we're going to heal through this.
And we have to have that. We have to have that. Because if we start on this journey, if we're called to this journey, in this particular path especially, we know when we look at the book that it's not going to be a simple thing. And there'll be times when you just don't know what end is up. And then those are the times, especially when you really have to trust, and just there's no other way. You can deny things all you want, and then you find yourself going into a black hole, and that's not a comfortable place to be, as many know. But I think it's living it out. It's as it is, and
Right.
not trying to
Yes.
pretend that it isn't. I mean, for the most part, I'm cheery, even though I'm in pain at different times, but that's okay. I don't try to hide it. I just once I let it out, I think it's a good lesson for all of us in quotes. We all have experienced it, and I do think it has much more of a purpose than anything else, especially when you get older. Now I'm probably older than most people on this call, and when you do, then the ideas of death and all, which isn't real, and all the other things come up. But I think we're not being tested. Probably in the old Christian religion, which I was in, that would have been a thing. But it is an opportunity for forgiveness and self-forgiveness and self-reflection, and really going deep and letting the Holy Spirit take us over, actually. And so I think maybe for me, the biggest thing is patience.
Yeah.
Patience with the situation. That's the biggest thing. So
Join you, and I thank you for expressing this, because it's helpful just to know that you're not alone.
And
yes.
the one thing I found, through my own journey is that we really do have to reach the point where the course is taking us to understand that it's not really happening to us.
Yeah, that's
It's
Mhm.
all taking
Yes.
place in the mind. And most of our health issues were decided before we even got here. They're all part of the script. And it's just
Mhm.
step back and realize that it's all unfolding just the way it should. And
Yep.
you do have to get rid of the fear of death. That's what the course is
Ugh.
teaching, right? It's teaching us there is no such thing. And we have to embrace it. And it's not, I'm not saying that's easy. Don't get me wrong. It's the most difficult things we can go through is health issues. But the course is training our mind to take us to that place where we can actually be the observer.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's necessarily mean we're going to be a happy observer, but we realize we're the observer that, it's just not really happening to who we really are.
Yeah.
It's happening, to the part of the projection.
Mhm.
To accept that into our mind is probably that's the ultimate acceptance is where the course is taking us. I'm not a body, I'm still as God created me. But it's true when we're all going through these things. I've been under the weather for the last couple of days myself, feeling really drained. But I
Mm.
keep going back to saying I am,
Yeah.
which is not happening to the I am. I'm not
Well,
sick, I am.
th-
And
those two things, I think sickness and death are, those two things to me anyway, that I'm realizing are probably the most prominent things in the course. Because when you get up to a point where you've done all the work that you think you can do, and then this hits you, and again, add on age when you get there. Those are things that we don't have to grapple with them. Actually, I was going to say we have to grapple. No, we don't. But it's just sort of, it's hard to get out of. And in my case, because I'm older, you'll have those thoughts, but I realize I'm not really that afraid of death because there is no death as such. We know life is perpetual, eternal, but the things leading up to it, I think, and especially if you think you come to a particular place in the course, especially, it's not that easy to just kind of dismiss it. So, but what I'm saying with all of this is, I guess, trust and also the great grace that we have to be brought together, as Steph has said, to give each other a knowledge that we're not alone at all. I mean, we know we're not alone and we know it's all mind, but there's still that egoic kick in the butt,
Yep.
and that's what we have to deal with. And if we want to continue and have the realization that of all the truth of the course permeate our being in spite of those things that are happening. I think that's the biggest message that I've given to people who said to me, and I have them come on my sites a lot of times and say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. You said the right thing at the right moment," and I'm not feeling it myself, but I'm saying it because I know it and it's coming through, and they feel it, and that's another thing that's what we mirror each other. So it's a great gift, I think, to be able to do that in spite of whatever's going on. So I would say with my conclusion is just hang in there to anybody who's been experiencing those things, and just keep it going, keep keeping it on. It'll be all well, it's all good, as they say. It may not seem in the moment, but it is. And I
The
just
new
send out love and light to everybody.
one thing we
the
know,
new title to A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles. Hang in there.
Yeah, you bet.
one
You
thing we do
bet.
know, artists, we don't get out of this world alive.
That's true. Well, we put
You know,
we
to
put
come
the
to
suit
realize
off.
that we're not here to begin with.
That's right. Exactly. Well, we'll know all of that. The thing is that I think the big gift is that we'll know all of that. Know, and there's a difference between knowledge, and speculation. And the course tells us that over and over, and we can't come to that full knowledge until that moment. So, but I think one thing I would say that we can take a good, it helps us a great deal, is a lot of these NDEs, the near death experiences, I think are very helpful I don't say that that's the end all and be all for sure, but so many of them are so conclusive that the experience of the knowledge, when we come into knowledge, it's wonderful, and all the things that we thought were not true, we know they weren't true. We have we're immersed in it. In other words, our next stage, I guess this is probably not a correct word to use, but that's the only one that came to mind right now. So that all we do is just lay this illusion body aside, and that's it. And I don't know about anybody else, but that helps me, because I really don't fear doing that at all. It's the other things, as I said, I want to beat the subject to death.
That comes up in the mind. That's the fear. That's what we fear. We fear the fear.
Yes, exactly. Hmm.
That's what we're
We
facing.
don't have to. We don't have to, but we do. We don't have to, but we do.
Come to
But
a-
that's, again,
we
that's
can
why
be
it's helping.
peace. We can get to a point of peace where to lay the body aside is like, it's a no thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that takes, a lot of mind training. But that's what the course
Yeah.
says. You can just simply lay it aside.
Yeah,
It's just,
exactly.
and you will, realize that when you appear to leave the body, you only appear to leave the body because you've never been in it, but you will realize that there's no such thing as death, as the course teaches over and over. It says, give up all thoughts of death and you are home.
Hmm.
It's a line in the course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to share or ask or whatever? Yes. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah. Phil, he wrote 2 or 3 days ago, he wrote something on Facebook, and it was about your daughter who passed away, and you were expressing such deep love and deep feelings and also deep hurt. And because of my husband, he passed away last year. And I was, I'm struggling now with the idea of true love and special love. Because, yeah, we had already a little conversation about that. And then you said, ask it when I'm there. So now I'm ask it. I was thinking like, okay, I'm missing Jacques and I'm crying about him, and I'm always saying, oh, I love him so much, and it hurts so much. But then I ask myself, what is that now? Is that now special love, or is that now true love? Because I don't think that I love everybody on this world, Yeah, well, yeah, okay. I guess it's but that's my way of exploration. It's not to diminish my feelings for him or to say you have no feeling, you have no true feelings for your daughter. That's not the issue. The issue is really we are students and we are exploring what Jesus is telling us about special love and true love. So yeah, okay.
So I don't hear a specific question, but I think I get the general idea that you're putting out there. And do you remember the last time I was on here and I explained in my revelation that first of all, when my daughter died, I mean, when you lose a child, it's like it's just it's something else. And I ended up going on to a couple of grief sites, and I began to realize that parents that have lost children, and I already knew it, but I was starting to find some aspects of healing. But so many of these parents are so identified as the parent who lost a child that their concept of heaven is like, hey, when I get to heaven, I'm going to find my child, which I don't know what they think the search will look like, and I'm going to grab a hold of them, and I will never let them go. Because the concept is heaven is like here, right? And so Revelation, when this occurred, my daughter never came to my mind. My mind did not need any concept of my daughter whatsoever, you know, because there was a knowing that I can't explain that is all is one, period. That all is perfectly one forever and ever. And there's zero way that any of the individuality that we think is there could be anything, quote, separate, could be not there. It just is not a. So my whole point was, as I went into this, for those who remember, in that split second of entering the revelatory experience, I said my wife's name because she was laying beside me. So she entered my mind for a second. Eckhart Tolle, for whatever entered my mind, but that's only two people. And he entered for a certain reason. But that being said, when I relate to what's happening in the dream world, I acknowledge that my daughter has had a massive impact. She, you know, what is it that impacts us within the dream to begin to wake up from the dream? And now we can start using all kind of words and get all confused and blah, blah, blah. But for me, I'm communicating with those who might relate to something that I'm communicating, so that they would go deeper into some other things I say. That's part of what I'm doing. I'm also acknowledging that I'm you know, I'm using words here. I'm acknowledging that in my humanity that I know what pain is. And that there's so many aspects to this thing as it relates to my daughter. There's no way until I am in the state of who we are forever that I'm going to be able to logically or on any level emote love for, no offense, Lloyd, but I'm looking at your face right now, love you as much as I love my daughter in that sense. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a emotional possibility until I am in that state the state of revelation. It was absolute. There was no separation of potentiality. So what I'm doing, I believe, is healing myself so that state will become it will become what it already is, but it will be remembered. But in the meantime, I'm communicating with people, and I know that what I'm saying is not necessarily absolute truth, but it is what I am communicating in this world of dreams about a situation that has deeply impacted me and that other people can relate to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I don't know if that answers what Tess is thinking. I know that for me, I can get caught up so deeply into in the moment, in the course, and wanting to, for example, follow as closely as I possibly can, but it can also be a place where that which I am feeling, I don't want to deny what I'm actually feeling. No. And these are feelings that I have on my journey towards healing. And my daughter has come to me. I'm really, sometimes I feel like the least spiritual person on any spiritual journey out there. But I've had things happen that I can't fully explain. And one of them was my daughter came to me in a dream 1 year after she died. I don't know if I discussed this last time, but she came to me. It was the most beautiful. It was not a normal dream. No. But love came to me in the embodiment of my daughter in a dream. And I was so desperate. I was so desperate. I was grabbing at anything. This was before the course. And she came to me in a dream and she said, I don't want to tell all about the dream, but she said, Daddy, keep on coming. You're getting closer.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. I mean, it was not of this world beautiful. And then she had to go. I don't know how that works, but I needed, and perhaps still do, her to help me on this journey.
Yeah. And the thing is, Phil, the Holy Spirit can speak to us through dreams. I mean, most of our dreams are egoic, but we know the difference. It's like an experience. It's not even like a dream. It's an experience. And I've had a couple of those myself.
Yeah,
And you definitely know the difference. You know, it's coming from a place of love, where most of your other dreams come from the egoic realm.
right.
But the Holy Spirit does break through every once in a while, and you do get I call it an experience more than a dream, where you know that it's coming from a state of love.
Right.
That was one, yes. That was a very significant one for me on my journey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really what it is it's your daughter showing up as the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. It's the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Spirit showing up as my daughter. It's what I needed.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
In my crying out,
Yeah.
it's what I needed
Right.
to help me along in that moment.
Right.
It was very, and what happened in the next week after that was, yeah, interesting. So, but I won't go there right now.
You know, we do get what we need, and it's always a given. I mean, there's something in charge of this plan that knows what we need, because we don't.
Right.
And that's the way it works. When you need something, it's there for you every time.
You gonna start breaking out into Mick Jagger for me?
Yeah, you get what you need. You might not get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't know our own best interests. That's so true. I mean, we think we do, but we don't.
Let,
And
let me ask Tess, did I dance around, or did I hit on what you were communicating about, or what?
No, my communication was about special love and true love, and I guess that is not possible to answer that, because the course isn't about finding love. The course is about finding the blocks that cover love. So this is a block for me, and
Right. No, special love is, yeah, I had a special relationship with my daughter, but it goes deeper than that, and I've seen that it goes deeper than that. But in terms of communication, and in terms of my moments here on Earth, I still have these things happening that these special relationships can work together to be transformed, and to deny that they're there and that they don't have some effect on me, I don't think is helpful. Because that's just, I think, over spiritualizing to a place of denial, in a sense. And so allowing these things to have their place while I am, as you said, removing the blocks, so that the truth beyond it all does begin to be experienced in glimpses.
Right.
Now I understand you. Now I do understand you.
Okay.
I mean, every relationship we have here, we can see it now from our own training, the mind training. It has been special. I mean, it's quite obvious that all our love is special. And it's all family oriented, usually, or we can even give special love for a pet. And that's part of the worldly experience. It's not to deny that experience, but in truth, we can't. There's no way you could have special love in a perfect state of mind, because there's only equality. There being impossible. That's what the world is based on. That's what keeps it, you know, keeps it in
Kicking.
place.
Yeah.
Is everything here is changeable and special, and whereas in that state of mind, and heaven is a state of mind, by the way, not a place. You can't really explain specialness. There is no specialness because, you know, it's beyond words. You don't miss anybody. It's like Phil was saying, there's no missing anybody because nobody's left out. Everybody's there. There's an impossibility to miss anybody. And the other thing I would say, Tess, would be that you might choose, like Art and Persah did in the Disappearance of the Universe. You might choose to come back with Jack sometimes and, you know, help wake up some other people. Anything's possible. Like that's what they did. Art and Persah were, you know, they were a couple in their last lifetime, and they ended up returning here, not in the same way that we appear here, but you know, they come from a different place. But anything's possible, because we're all one, and the Holy Spirit can take on any identity. The Holy Spirit can take on form, and it does. So,
You know, it's
You-
funny
yeah.
because when Lloyd and I first met, the Holy Spirit, I got some very specific messages about, you know, the relationship. And the first, well, I'll just share a little bit of this right now. The first thing I heard was that we had been together in many, many lifetimes, and that we were coming together in this lifetime to forgive every lifetime simultaneously together. And the other thing I heard was that the biggest lesson that was going to be learned was that I am not a body. I am free because I am still as God created me. And the other message I heard was set your sights on holiness and release the need for specialness. And that's been the whole journey. I mean, when you're in a relationship, a friend of mine laughingly said, be careful when you ask for your soulmate, because you might be asking for your greatest forgiveness lesson. You know, in other words, we come together to undo specialness. I mean, that's the Holy Spirit's purpose of a relationship. It's a classroom for undoing and becoming the demonstration, you know, of the willingness to undo our specialness. And it can be excruciating, of course. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
And something that happens to the mind, and it, as we know, the body responds to mind. But I can only, you know, tell you from my own experience is that you do end up seeing love everywhere. You can't even explain it. It's like you see situations, and sometimes the tears flow because you see the love behind it. Somebody going through even some trauma can be, you see the love involved in it. And it's hard to explain, but I have come across so many situations in the last couple of years where the tears just flow from me because it's that love. It just pours through you. And sometimes it comes as tears. And it's like the Course says when you, I think it says, if you with
You
love,
want only love, you will see nothing else.
you'll see nothing else. And I'm going to tell you, I vouch for that. It happens. It happens in every situation. I see it in little things and big things. And I just know I can see the whole plan unfolding before my eyes. And it's so beautiful.
It's beautiful. Okay, Fran, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. I just, it's been so good to hear what everybody's saying. And one of the things, my practice has been probably really strong for the last 2 years, in spite of the fact I've known about the Course forever and ever. And this, I was really confused. I really tried to be a holy ego for so much of it. And when I finally got, as Stephanie said, authentic with this relationship, this vertical relationship. Where I would scream, I need a frickin' burning bush, Jesus, to see what the hell this is. You know, I know it's undoing, etc., but it hurts and it's making, you know, I'm a lunatic. I don't like it. And you know, so, you know, hold my hand here, whatever. And so when I learned I could be that authentic, and as all you know, I kind of swear like a drunken sailor here and there. So it's, have you ever seen those movies where there's some little person, usually a woman, beating on the chest of some big strong guy while she just, and he just stands there and he can take it? Well, that's me and Jesus. And you know, and I am so grateful. And when I get burning bushes, and I was just the lesson this morning. I offer only miracles today. The Ken Wapnick commentary from the manual talks about how our curriculum is highly individualized, and we will get to experience the correction in the forms we need. And it's like, because I would always feel so guilty about, and that's not exactly petitioning prayer, you know, because it's releasing, for me, it's releasing the outcome. I'm not praying for, not that I don't, you know, okay, I want the miracle and it should look like this. You got that. So anyway, as I get more and more releasing that, I'm shown the burning bush is usually some incredibly gentle thing, like those tears. When I get tears coming up, then I know Jesus is like, here's your burning bush. It's very quiet. It's like, you're about to, I'm revealing a truth here. And it's what I'm attached to. Nothing's wrong or right here. It's what I'm attached to. My special relationships are certainly most definitely this lifetime with my grandchildren, you know, but I have special relationships with, you know, status, my idea of respect, or all kinds of things as well. And so where I'm attached, that's where he has to pry my bony little fingers off of, you know, that. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling right now, but showing me the attachments, because those are the idols.
Right.
And as Tess said, we're already loved. We don't have to learn that. We just, you know, show me the blocks that I am throwing up or that are here, so I can remember all the love God has for me. I don't have a clue what that is, but man, I'm done with trying to find it here. And so I want to get rid of these idols, sorta, on some days.
Yeah.
That's
Sure you do.
Yeah, and I'm just so grateful for my brothers here that I love. And sometimes I don't want anything to do with the people on the planet. It's like, you know, I need to be by myself with my God. And basically I need to be with God because I can't stand myself either. But I'm just, thank you. Just thank you.
Just want to share us a little something here before we go on, and I'm not going to take long because we got a couple of people with hands up, but I want to share this, and because it was profound for me, this story. Byron Katie was sharing that she went into the hospital to see a friend who was dying. This lady only had like a couple of days, well, a couple of weeks or whatever to live, so to speak. And this lady said to Byron Katie, she said, Byron, I want you to know I absolutely love you. You know, Katie, I just love you, and I want you to know that I love you. And she looked at her friend and she said, until you love this sickness and this cancer as much as you love me, you can't say you love me. And then she extended that to say, whatever is going on in your life, no matter how bad it is, no matter how hard it is, no matter whatever, no matter how threatening it is, until you love it as much as you love everyone that we say we love, we don't know what love is. And she extends that out to God. So she says, I love what is, I love my horrible situation, and I love my husband or my wife, for example, and then that extends out to God. I love God. So if I'm saying I hate my sickness, I'm really saying I hate my wife and I hate God. Because how you feel about one thing is how you feel about everything. So I just wanted to share that. I found that really profound, and I found it really a big, strong help in my own healing journey. Because I would, when you're going through a physical challenge and it's really bothersome like all day long, it's very difficult to do it. But that's where we got to get. That's where I know I have to get. I have to really, be okay with it. And right now, I'm having times in my day that I am okay with it. So I'm okay with that for now. We can't pressure ourselves, and force ourselves to get there, but it's to be aware of the fact that we are being called to love everything that's going on in our life. Looks like Ardith has her hand up again.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that whole issue, especially around sickness. And I'm thinking of page 28 in the Blue Book, the third edition of the FIP, where the last line says, I will, I'm probably going to mangle it, but I will be healed as I let him, Holy Spirit, teach me to heal. I think that's the key. Because sometimes when you're in a physical, so-called physical situation, it's difficult to imagine how in the world can I teach someone to heal? How can I until I get this all the way? And a lot of times it's discouraging, and that's when we really need to put on the trust feet most of all, and just be aware that if we are let go and just not try to plot it out how it's going to happen, and just trust it will in increments. Because I know I go through the same thing. I mean, some days I'm in pain, and other days not at all. And so I think that whole thing is really coming home to me. And it doesn't have to be physical pain either. Obviously, I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. It's the same thing with showing us how differently we think than the world thinks. We teach in order to learn, which is exactly the opposite of our world that's always being taught something, and hopefully we'll learn this. But no, we teach in order to learn. Same thing with the healing. Anyway, that's what I'm discovering. It's not an easy thing, but that last line really sticks out for me, as does the entire prayer that was spelled centuries. And I believe that's one of the ones that you say, Lloyd, right early in the day.
Good morning. Yeah.
It's very helpful.
One thing, and the main thing we do have to realize is course students is the fact that the course is always referring to the mind. When it's talking about healing, it's never talking about healing the body, even though, there are some things in there where it talks about the body healing, but it's sort of metaphoric. It's like, the course is teaching you there is no body. So it's hardly going to teach you that the course is all about healing the body. It's not. It's about healing the mind that thinks it's a body. And that's really where we have to get to. We have to look at the body and say, well, a healthy body or a sick body, they're no different. They're both illusions.
Yeah. That's
And
important to
sometimes the
remember
body
that.
responds to a healing, and that has nothing to do with the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit has nothing to do with healing bodies. that's a great misunderstanding. What heals the body is the mind that made this world. It's just it's responsible for all miraculous healings. And what happens is it withdraws its projection. So sometimes, the body seems to respond to the mind's healing, but that's not always. In fact, I would say I have no idea what the percentage might be, but again, we have to really understand the course is about healing our mind. It's the mind that's projecting all this. That's the only thing that needs healing. And once the mind is completely healed, it it simply disappears back into heaven where it actually never left because it's impossible to leave our source. But yeah, we have to really get away from the fact of thinking that because we're doing all this work that our body's going to become very healthy. It just that isn't the case.
We know that it isn't because, take as an example, Ken Wapnick. I mean, or Helen for that matter.
Exactly.
Those examples are there for us to learn from, and I think as we learn the healing, the mind part, the wholeness of the mind being responsible for whatever situation we find ourselves in, if we hang on to that, it brings us to a point where we can accept whatever is, right, whatever is happening, and having examples and being willing to be here's the word authentic again, coming out and being able to say what's really going on. I think that helps because we get clarity and how much the mind is responsible for what's going on, because a lot of depending on whether someone believes in reincarnation or not, and the manual, I think it is for teachers, that speaks about that, some form of continuance. It does seem to make sense when you think about it, because there's a lot of stuff that's stuck up in there in places that we can't access. So that's even more more impetus to just stand back and let the Holy Spirit do its work, His work, and not to try to go into physical pain part. That's I hate to say it's irrelevant. It doesn't seem to be irrelevant, but the course also says if you don't admit the existence of the body, it's highly unworthy. So any experience that you think you feel, you can't deny it. You got to give it back to the Holy Spirit to work on. But as you said, not to concentrate on the physical, the so-called physical part of it, and try to get to the mind part. And that's, yeah. I'm restating what everybody already knows. Just want to say I agree.
But we don't even know what healing is.
Right.
That's true.
We actually, because we don't really know what's going on in the mind. And I liked something that Martin just put on the chat was
Yeah.
that body healing is magic, not the miracle.
That's a very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's also in that helps to remember too that we're told that if we need to use that magic, for instance, any
Absolutely.
type of healing, it's all right. It's just as long as we understand what we're doing. I think that's a big deal.
It's like I was just diagnosed with osteoporosis and just moderate. And they gave me some pills that I'm supposed to take one every week. But I read all the side effects on it. I said, no way.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not here to live longer. I don't care. I'm here to go home.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean I won't take a vitamin pill or I'm taking some calcium pills and stuff like that off off the shelf from the homeopathic. But there's no way I'm going to get into that regimen where I have to take one of these every week. And apparently you could be sick for the day. I think, what the hell? I'm not going to go through that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if when my time's up, I mean, I really know this, the total script is written and it's already known that when I'm going to leave this body, then I'm just going for the gusto.
Yeah. Well, when you hear, I don't watch television hardly at all, but when I do, and these commercials come on for all sorts of medicines, and they race through all the side effects that might happen, including you might die. So, if there wasn't anything to discourage somebody from jumping on the pill wagon, then that would be it, even if you weren't involved with the course. So it's pretty obvious.
Such a comedy, really, you know,
It is.
some of these commercials, and you think to yourself, I'd rather have what I got.
Could stop
take-
you.
Your heart might stop, but it's a great medicine.
Yeah.
Elia, you had did you want to ask something, Elia? You had your hand up earlier. Now, I don't know if maybe that was you just sort of, you're not going to bother now, but I just thought I'd mention it.
Well, I had a thought a while back while Phil was talking about and Tess was talking about losing Jock and Phil's daughter and stuff like that. Grief is a memory of the belief in separation from God. And there is no separation.
Right.
Spirit never leaves you. They're always there in dreams, or if they can, if the Holy Spirit allows it, to write messages on your blankets, to turn lights on, to move pictures, to light candles and things like that. That happened in my house for 8 years. The Spirit is always with you. You're never alone. Never, ever alone.
That's beautiful. Eli, it reminds me of a message I received from the Holy Spirit once, which said, the belief in loss is the belief in losing heaven, which we
Mhm.
cannot lose.
No, you can't. And it's not real.
But actually, it said the fear of loss. The fear of loss is the fear of losing heaven, which we cannot lose.
That's true.
I was telling Phil the other day, we had a little Zoom session, that for about 3 years, I used to get, when I go to bed at night, I'd get a feeling of a presence, and then I would see footprints, actual footprints on the bed. And they would work their way up, and then all of a sudden, something would lift up my pillow and shake the pillow. And then it stopped. And that happened for about 3 years. But I never saw anybody, and nothing ever spoke to me. But it's just an experience. So, all part of the dream, of course, but it was, pretty unusual. And I
Spirit,
think
like,
I had no fear. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It just,
Spirit likes to have fun once in a while.
I
Right.
guess so.
They had fun with me a lot.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to ask Phil or converse about?
I'll tell you what, I'll ask a worldly question, Phil. How did you end up in Costa Rica?
Well, I'm not going to give the full answer other than to say that we had explored the possibility of relocating out of the States. And then when our daughter died, my wife said she didn't want to be in the States for the holidays. She died in late October. So we booked a flight to an area that we had considered.
Right.
And with the intent to be down here before Thanksgiving and sometime after New Year's. And while we were here, we had this feeling that we could heal better down here. And so we bought an inexpensive property that looks scary as hell. Almost nobody else would even look at it. I mean, the jungle was eating it up, and a few $1,000, and it was like, whoop.
Really?
So we thought we would, versus renting somewhere, live temporarily and ended up staying here and adding on and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was really to try to heal. And it's a very interesting place that we're at. It's a very interesting dream place that we're at.
Mhm.
And interestingly, Lloyd, you said something earlier, and we know this, but you said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but heaven is not a place. It's not a location. Location is a time and space thing. And it's easy to say those words, and people, I know the Phil of the past would have said, how do you know this?
Yeah, right.
How the hell do you know that it's not a place?
Right.
What gives you the right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can answer that from at least one of two places. One of them is, well, I read it and I believe it.
Yeah, right.
Or somebody said it and I believe it.
Yeah.
Or you've crossed that Rubicon. You've been there.
Yes.
Right.
And that there is not there. It just is.
Yeah.
And so it can be said in an absolute way, but I know the Phil of yesterday would have said, okay, yeah, I'm hearing you and I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and yet it is true that heaven, all that we're talking about using words in the human reasoning can't get there, which is why I believe Jesus spoke in parables back in the day. He told stories to allow the mind to begin to somehow begin to loosen certain things that would allow the space to be able to receive the truth behind what he was pointing towards. Because
Right.
the words themselves were not the truth. The pictures themselves are never the truth. And so I laugh at myself. I laugh at myself using all these words, and telling these stories, knowing it's never true, but knowing that which is beyond the words can begin. And so when I hear you say that, I'm like, I happen to know that you're telling the truth, but it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Even though I know it, my human mind still can't make sense of it. How do I fit into this place of no place? Because the human mind says, well, here I am. So how am I going to fit into this? Right. But it's just our way of thinking here.
Well, it's like
and it's okay.
when we see a movie like What Dreams May Come, that can throw us off whack. Have you seen
I don't know
that?
if I've seen that one.
It's about a couple that transition and end up in heaven. It's who's in that? Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, a great movie, but it sort of gives you a vision of what people may think heaven is like, right?
Yeah. And it's a very difficult thing to talk about because it's hard for us as supposed human beings with our thinking apparatus and our experiential, deal to contemplate how nothingness can be so perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to the human apparatus.
You can't.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had someone that was going to ask a question. Oh, there, Chaz.
Chaz had a
Go
question.
ahead and you can put your hand down there, but that was just like a moment ago.
Good morning, everybody. Aloha from the Big Island. I was wondering where in Costa Rica, Phil, you are.
Are you familiar with Costa Rica? Have you been to Puerto Viejo on the Caribbean?
I have.
So
I lived there for a year to study the course a long time ago. So
wow. So it's quite
It's-
eclectic. It's expanded a lot since you were here, but I'm in Cocles, which is right. I'm back in the jungle just a little bit off of in Cocles, which is the next suburb from Puerto Viejo.
Beautiful. Right on.
I cannot figure out where one ends and the other ones begin. But it's just I'm walking the beach and I'm in Playa Chiquita. Oh, I'm in Puntuba. Where am I? But
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Anything else, Chaz?
I'm
Super
selling,
glad to be here.
to sell a house today. We're moving to Costa Rica.
It's actually Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
They have really good coffee in Costa Rica. Well,
See.
guys, if there's nothing else, I think we'll call it a day for today.
It's been beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful conversation. We really enjoyed having you, Phil. And
Gracias, hermanos.
have you back again if you'll accept our invitation.
Sure.
Feel free to take yourself off mute to just to say a quick hey and thank you.
And
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
Phil.
Phil.
Thank
Another
you,
great
Phil.
meeting, Stephanie and Laura.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Phil. Everybody.
Thank you.
Phil.
Thank you,
And
Phil.
thanks,
Love.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.